like Depin that kind of focuses on, and I'm just going to borrow your one more analogy. A lot of Depin is basically us saying like, yeah, we've got this lawnmower that we built, but instead of round wheels, we put hexagonal wheels on it. So it's not as easy, it's not as not as efficient in a lot of ways, but here are some other ways that it is efficient. And I think one of the things about that Depin, I think that we're slowly starting to see it do now, is more and more Depin projects are starting to look and say like, all right, what's our ticket to play? And the ticket to play is what's the baseline expectation of your user? Because if you don't meet those baseline expectations, users won't come, which means developers won't come, right? And so if you're building like in our case, like our kind of first principle for decentralized storage was that it needs to be like as fast as as secure, as stable, and perform every bit as well as a traditional Web 2 cloud service, because that's not something that you see very often, and that's been one of the biggest roadblocks of Web 3 decentralized data storage, is asking developers to go from super easy solutions, super quick solutions, to solutions that are much, much slower and less reliable, purely because of the benefits of Depin. So I think that's something that, again, kind of like harkening back to the original question, we're going to start to see more and more inevitability with Depin as we start to see those, sort of like baseline expectations move from like nice to haves into a true ticket to play before you can even move forward.
I think you talk about sharing economy. Like one of the things that gets me very excited about this like subsector within crypto in general is like Depin is one of the biggest unlocks to growing the pie. Like, how do you onboard the next billion people into crypto? You have to abstract away a lot of the more technical components. You have to abstract away blockchain in such a way that like the economics just benefit that end user. So if you think about a lot of some of these projects that are coming out, you've got a Hive mapper, dash cam, you're helping to create the next better version of Google Maps, you're earning for that, and all you need to do is just very simple consumer hardware that's like in your car. You've also got a demo module that is giving open, it's a metadata, driver metadata that could benefit insurance companies, and an open network. By the way, both these things use Helium connectivity, so that's why I'm showing it up. But all these different products, it's very like the UX matters so much in a lot of these different circumstances, and that's where again the crypto component is there to is it micropayments? Is it a matter of how do you actually coordinate that work through the incentive model? But this is what's going to bring the next large wave of crypto users, because it's this physical world utility that has very often a very clear demand side from non-crypto users.
And you bring up a couple of good points. Again, how to get the next billion users. A huge part is the GUI, right, the interface. Because the reason why the sharing economy took off so fast in Web 2 was you already built a lot of the infrastructure. You had an app store. You had, you said, hey, you want to go and make some extra money, and so that was the other part of your thing. If $1 laying on the table, someone's going to pick it up, unless it takes $5 effort to do, right? And so for you to become a driver at Uber, for you to go stay in or become a host at Airbnb, not a lot of effort. Click, 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 put a credit card in, put a bank account to get things. Whereas, the only real expansion into Web3 that seemed fairly seamless was non-US was Axie Infinity, because you could make more playing video games than driving a cab in the Philippines. And so we have, when it becomes as easy to go in and say, I can make $10 a month using Helium, and I can make X amount a month with my storage on Shadow, to be able to do this, and it's click, 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 instead of, okay, first take your wallet, then go and put it on MetaMask, and then, it's a 3-day course afterwards. So where are each of you in terms of making the interface to your Web3 solutions look more like Web 2, or at least a path toward that?
Well, I think at the end of the day, your end user shouldn't know that they're interacting with Web3. Like, when I go, talk about, I go, book an Airbnb, book an Uber. I have no idea what's going on the back end, and I don't care. I just need it to work, right? I need it to work. I need it to be easy. And so, that's been like, for us, and I know for my colleagues here on stage, like that's been a very big focus, right? It's like, we're infrastructure. We're laying the foundational layers for amazing developers to come in and build the next Uber or the next Airbnb, and basically making sure that they have the tools that they need to completely abstract away the blockchain. I think in previous years where Depin projects failed, or like in previous years when Depin was kind of struggling to become a little more of a trending buzzword, it's because there wasn't that focus on like, okay, let's make sure that they don't have to worry about any type of roadblocks when it comes to using the product, and to make sure that developers don't feel like it's all on them to try to figure this out. And so I think it boils down to supporting the developers and making sure that they have the tools that they need to completely remove the Web3 elements from their user interfaces.
So, Scott, I know you've been in this 5 years now, so what have you seen in terms of how the ecosystem has developed from the initial concept that sounded crazy to a lot of people, what Helium does to where you are now? I know you went from your own blockchain to now, Solana. How's that?
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. I mean, so launched in 2019. Helium was not a blockchain project from its inception. The project itself, which predates me, it's 10 years old. It was all around how do you solve for better connectivity for Internet of Things devices. So think about sensors of, I want to track air quality, I want to manage supply chain, if I've got vaccines being, where are they, what's the temperature on the truck? Solving with those networks, it's always been hard to build. Again, CapEx, OpEx problem. And the idea of a community-built network was much more economically feasible. So start with that. We built our own LO1, which we actually ended up killing to move to Solana because hardware is difficult, blockchains are difficult, building a wireless is difficult. Let's just do one of those now. Fast forward to today, our IoT network thriving with over 100 organizations using it. There are major municipalities that use Helium as a connectivity layer for flood detection, air quality. There's a city that was using it for smart manhole covers to know when there's a hole in the road to go manage that instead of sending somebody else out. Better use of resources in public and private sector. On the cellular and mobile sides, you talk about UX, people go and sign up for a Helium mobile cell phone plan. You don't have to know that much about the fact of, I'm going to save 5x on my cell phone plan using this thing, and on top of that, of just cost savings, if you opt in to share your data and where you are to help better map the network and better deploy the supply side, you're rewarded for that. What cell phone carrier rewards its subscribers for helping to build their network and where privacy comes first? It is just such a flip of the equation. So think about that ease of UX and how simple that is. And that's only part of the story. The bigger story for Helium right now is not even just the direct consumer side, which again, over I think 100,000 subscriber signups in the last few months. It's legacy major telcos where we need to close the digital divide, who are now roaming into the Helium network where you don't have to see it, you don't have to know about it. And I think we're 5.5 terabytes of data in the last 30 days running through the Helium network. That's real utility for traditional enterprise legacy that is being built by a community incentivized network. That to me is where Depin is thriving and succeeding, and this is happening beyond wireless into all these other spaces. So I think it's a great space in crypto that's unlocking a lot of growth.
You mentioned privacy as part of that, and so I'm going to ask Lisa about sort of some of the things you're doing with confidential computing, and in particular, you're one of the pioneers of moving Depin, or combining rather Depin with decentralized AI.
Yeah, so I think confidential AI is a huge topic here, and Depin makes it possible. And I know it's a little bit of a jump, but let me bring you with me. So right now, AI is broken. We don't have any confidentiality in what we train, the data we use to train it, or the prompts we use to ask to get the information out. It's all very public, and we don't have any protection. Now you take that to Web3, decentralized AI is even worse, because now not only do you not have privacy from the LLMs and their manufacturers, you don't have privacy from anybody. All your data that goes into the AI is now perfectly transparent and public to everybody. So adding in confidential computing to the Depin narrative makes confidential AI now possible and secure. And it's really, to me, it's the future. Depin is the is the underpinning for confidential AI. You need the new hardware, like the NVIDIA H100 GPU is necessary to do any sort of on-chain decentralized AI. But it's possible, and it's coming, and that, to me, is the exciting narrative for Depin in general.
So, Catherine, you're doing some interesting things with cybersecurity in Depin. Can you elaborate a little on that?
Yeah. Well, let's look at the beautiful thing about Depin is the value proposition is very clear, right? It's not like we're not trying to get people to gamble in perks or buy NFTs, right? It's the value proposition is very clear for everyone that we're going after. So for us, for example, we have two different industries where it's weird. We have the Web3 developer. What they want decentralization, self-custody, all of that kind of nature, and being able to integrate it with their smart contracts for automation. They don't want APIs spaghetti in the background. They just want on-chain access to storage. You want to build a web-scale application, you need storage, you need compute. Blockchains can't do compute very well, so they need someone to provide the storage there. When we look at our Web2 businesses that we're working with, so we have a telecom that's backing up the Jackal. They don't care about decentralization. They don't want self-custody. They want to sue us if we lose all their data, of course, right? So their value proposition specifically is they get multi-region geo-distributed storage that is 200% cheaper than anything else on the market because of our capital efficiency gains. So the Web3 developers, they like the privacy, self-custody, decentralization. The Web2 individuals, they like geo-distributed nature that's verifiable. And by building that into our chain directly and having custom modules and all that programmability, we're able to provide value in different ways to different people. So it's a little bit of a difficult answer because we have two very different markets that are very strange.
So I've got 4 minutes left and 4 people to speak.
Developers with the simple smart contract call, that's important to us. So building our bridging technology, we wrapped all our blockchain modules in smart contracts, and now we're deploying them on other chains. So we're starting with Cosmos, and then we just got EVM working last week, so we're excited about that. And then Solana, of course, as well. The thing that I'm really excited about is just kind of getting the demand side working and reaching parity.
What I was saying earlier, when I think about traditional utility networks, again, wireless, energy, kind of edge compute, a lot of these different things, we're not going to get there with the way the legacy models are, CapEx, OpEx, constraints. In order to really close the gap on these things, you have to have the ability for community-built networks to be able to create these networks that are incentivized where a flywheel is economically feasible. And I think you're going to see significant value accrual and value created in these networks. Whether that is through the legacy incumbents, through those new challengers that are going to rotation. Hume's built a huge social coordination, hundreds of thousands of people. Let's use that to build more utility. So I think that
is the middle of a regulatory battle. I think there's always a lag, right, with regulation and technology. Right now, regulation is very much focused on centralized technologies and how to protect users, how to make sure those centralized entities are doing what they should be doing, and yada yada.